Vitality is our ability to have spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical bliss. Some call it paradise. We call it a game.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your host, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure. And this is my perspective. So I got like a 30-second little clip of a video to show you guys. And then we're going to come back with my perspective, because what we're talking about is why Black women ignore or dismiss Black men and their concerns. And we're going to kind of get into this, but I do want to share this quick clip with you guys. Give me just a second. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Here we go.
How can Black men take the first step into rectifying our relationship with Black men? Hear this. We already have. We're talking. After this, it's military silence, and Black men are already opting out of relationships. Men are vessels of action. All that divest from Black men they talking, watch this. We finna show them something. It's all sweet right now because they're still talking to men that are actually masculine. When those disappear and they realize they're in the room talking to themselves and the only other people present are then that's when the apologies gonna start flowing. By then, we're gonna be jaded from the conversation, and ain't no masculine man gonna want to hear it. Bars.
Okay, so you heard what the brother had to say, which I like his TikToks because they kind of entertaining as well as informative, where he's just giving them that man's perspective on what he's talking about. But aside from that, I want to kind of use that as a little bit of a jumping off point, because that's what I'm really talking about today. When I say Black women are ignoring and or dismissing Black men, and I mean Black men's voices, Black men's concerns, having an issue with the Black Manosphere, having an issue with these social media spaces where Black men have convened to talk about a myriad of things, right? Including, but not limited to, relationships and the interaction and interplay between Black men and Black women. And a lot of Black women take a lot of issue with the fact that these spaces exist and the fact that the men are actually coming together to talk about things that men aren't supposed to talk about. Black men aren't supposed to talk about. And, there's the sign language is always being used against them to say, oh, well, what masculine men talk about women all day, and why y'all talking about women? That's just a way to sort of move the goalposts or deflect away from Black men actually learning and actually sharing those lived experiences and coming to different conclusions about Black women and how they've interacted with them culturally, right? So one of the first issues that's going on, the reason why she ignores or dismisses the Black male voice, is because hearing his concerns and knowing his concerns and knowing about the things that's going on with him doesn't serve Black women culturally or historically. That doesn't really serve us. Us having a man that's fully aware of everything around him, namely us as women, that has not served Black women, because if he had been aware of the various different troubles and threats that Black women collectively represent to Black men, we wouldn't even be here. A lot of this stuff would have been nipped in the bud a long time ago. You see what I'm saying? So culturally, Black women are used to Black men being in the servant role and being in the dark in order to be considered a good man or to be considered husband material, right? This required his unawareness of her nature as a woman and his unawareness of her intentions, his unawareness of her trouble and the unawareness of her true extent of her threat that she had. See, Black men have had to be not conscious of her. What I'm trying to say is culturally, Black men have had to be oblivious to Black women and think of her only in a good light. Think of her only in a wholesome light, especially if he married her. To think of her only in this way where this is a person that would never harm me. This is a person that would never betray. This is a person that would never do anything untoward that would undermine our family or would undermine me as a man or would undermine any of the things that we're trying to do to move forward as a unit. She would never do those things. She would never cheat on me. She would never, you know what I'm saying, go behind my back and have children that aren't mine and present them as mine and, you know what I'm saying, make me believe for the next 15, 16, 20 years that the middle child was mine, when in point of fact, the middle child was my brother's child. You see what I'm saying? See, Black men have culturally needed to be that level of oblivious to Black women's collective threat in order for her to maintain being that threat without any opposition. She'd still be able to get married at the rate that she's looking for, no matter what she did. If he remains blind to her, then she's able to still get the benefit of being this man's wife and all of these sorts of things. So now we got women who are arguing and sort of angry and upset at men for not marrying them. I've seen this on social media. Well, we aren't married because Black men aren't marrying us, without taking the next step to say why Black men aren't marrying Black women. And then they dish it off and say, well, Black men don't want to be married. That's not quite true. But there are now less and less Black men that do want to get married because of these spaces. And this is why Black women are having a problem with these Black male dominated social media areas, such as the Black Manosphere, right? And will attempt to say this is a misogynistic space. This is a space where the disdain for Black women is at an all-time high. And this is what the men are talking about. When in point of fact, that's not quite so. But that is to obscure and deflect away from what's really being talked about when Black men are talking about their lived experiences across the board, no matter what socioeconomic background he come from, whether he come from the hood, whether he come from the suburbs, whether he come from an educated background, or whatever the case may be. He's a professional, or he's an athlete, or he's a blue collar man, or whatever the case may be. These men are coming together and having shared experiences. And when they start comparing notes, the notes aren't quite all that good. This is adding up to be not a glowing report on the collective of Black women, right? So since the advent of the Black Manosphere and women becoming aware of this space and aware of what men talk about in this space, this has become a growing concern for Black women in general, that Black men are now waking up to what Black women have collectively been to them, and the fact that our culture, Black culture, has backed them up in this behavior, in this mindset, in these practices, right? Because the reality is Black men are not supposed to know the following things. First of all, they're not supposed to know that Black women are a threat to them, and that women still fail to openly admit this fact, while they're running around talking about, well, why aren't the men marrying us? They're not marrying us because they don't want to be married, which is not true. They're not marrying because they've come to understand what Black women have been doing. And this is what we were talking about, myself and Sister Shalakemia, on our last live together, when we were talking about the disconnect between Black men and Black women. And you can see that right here when we talked about the disconnect This is what we were talking about. Black men coming to understand the true nature of the threat that they've been living with and procreating with, providing for, problem solving for, and protecting. All this time, they fathers, they grandfathers, without understanding why they were meeting these ends where the family eventually breaks up, and you know what I'm saying, and all of this sort of stuff, the where all this trouble comes from, where all this drama comes from. And they were never really suspecting their wives in all of these cases, right? Because we came up in a culture where Big Mama or Mama was seen as the authority. She couldn't be challenged on nothing. When she came to a decision, when she did things, it was to be assumed that she was doing the best thing for the interest of everybody else. But it come to find out she was doing things for the interest of herself. And she would weave webs of lies and things of that nature to hide what she was doing, to hide her tracks and present herself as this non-threat, right? So black men aren't supposed to know that black women are a threat or can be a threat to him. Not supposed to know that black women dislike black men as a group, right? Black men were never supposed to come together and find out that black women, generally speaking, have no respect for them as men at all. No matter where he come from. See, they can move the goalposts and say, well, we don't have respect for Dusties. Well, what is a Dusty? A guy that don't take care of his business, a guy that don't take care of his family, etc., etc. But when they are confronted with a black man that doesn't fit that narrative, then they'll find another reason not to respect him as a man. Well, he doesn't have enough money, or he doesn't have enough masculinity, or his energy, or his swag, or he's ugly, or whatever the case may be. Anything to remove that respect, anything to remove the expectation that she should be respecting him. So black men weren't supposed to know that. Black men weren't supposed to know that black women cheat just as much as she accused him of cheating. She cheats just as much or more. When she have just as many out of marriage children that he's got, that she accused him of having, right? He had a baby on me outside of the relationship, and black women have plenty babies outside of that relationship. You can be married and have 4 kids, and one of them kids is not his, or all of them not. But he's supposed to assume that they are. He's not supposed to have this suspicion that perhaps that them 2 kids in the middle ain't mine. The time don't quite add up. I mean, possibly they kind of look like her. Okay. They don't really look like me though. Well, okay. She might can get away with it because they do look like her. Well, okay. See, that's where the phrase mama's baby, daddy's maybe actually came from, because she was having outside kids too. It's just that she was she was having him raise them in the house, and she was hush hush, because women today will brag about cheating just as much as men and saying, well, we do it better than you, because she's able to hide her tracks, right? Because black men aren't supposed to suspect black women of that amount of treachery. He's not supposed to suspect that she would betray him that way, or that she would do that. Even in an age where we see plenty of women commit paternity fraud and things of that nature, we still not supposed to think of them in that way. So if a man says, I don't think that child is mine, let me go get a DNA test, black women still have the audacity to get upset and to feel some type of way. Well, you my husband, what you mean you want a DNA test? Because I don't trust you. All right. I think you might have been creeping behind my back, and that one kind of came out a little light-skinned and both of us dark-skinned. So I'm trying to see, how can we swab these cheeks and get these DNA results? Like, that's what I'm trying to see. So don't come to me with your little hurt feelings about whether or not why I don't trust you. I don't trust you because I find you to be sneaky, right? Black men aren't supposed to know that she doesn't care what he needs or wants in relationships. Black men aren't supposed to know that she doesn't mind hurting him physically, emotionally, or financially. Black men aren't supposed to know that black women support each other in these very same behaviors, even if she says she don't do it. And in so many other ways, and so many other things that Black men were never supposed to come to know about the mentality and the inner workings and the movement, behind the scenes movement of Black women, right? So that's why they're having a problem with the space. So now Black men know this stuff. And now they're calling for women's correction, or like we said in the live stream that I did with the sister Shalakemia, we're talking about he's reevaluating and reprioritizing his life to exclude Black women, to exclude them completely, because now they're aware, right? That's why a lot of these Black women having problems. Got problems with Black men coming together. It's automatically assumed to be a nefarious thing. It's automatically assumed to be bad when Black men are just getting together to talk. Right? So sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I am your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.